Retailers try to get just enough stuff on the shelves for the holidays.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business, focused on offering smart business buying solutions, leaving time to focus on growth. More at amazonbusiness.com. And by Clear Channel Outdoor, an out-of-home billboard company that offers data-driven advertising solutions for businesses big and small. Billboardsforbusiness.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer in for David Brancaccio. Later this morning, we're going to get an update on how much inventory businesses built up in July, courtesy of the Census Bureau. Meanwhile, a separate survey of businesses called the Logistics Managers Index found that in August, inventory levels picked up after contracting throughout the summer. Marketplace's Justin Ho looks into what that says about this year's holiday shopping season.
The inventory pickup in August mostly happened at the wholesale level. Zach Rogers at Colorado State University puts together the Logistics Managers Index. He says that's normally what you'd expect ahead of the holidays,
with the idea that in September and October, that inventory will be on a retail shelf.
But Rogers says inventory management over the last few years has been anything but normal. In 2021, retailers ordered inventory a lot earlier in the year since supply chains were congested. Then, over the next couple years, retailers ordered less inventory altogether since they had built up too much. But now, companies are acting more like they did before the pandemic.
We have now been able to go back to just-in-time inventory management, where things are showing up to the store right before we need them.
That strategy can help retailers ensure that they don't order too much. Jason Miller, a professor of supply chain management at Michigan State University, says companies have a few reasons to be cautious about consumers.
You've got higher credit card delinquency rates and a lot of just uncertainty with the presidential election cycle.
As a result, companies are likely to keep their inventories pretty tight over the next year. I'm Justin Ho for Marketplace.
Let's do the numbers. The Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are up in the 2 to 0.6% range, with the Dow future up more than 100 points. The 10-year Treasury yield is down at 3.63%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by UKG. UKG is a partner that delivers HR, pay, time, and culture solutions designed to help build a great workplace for everyone. UKG, our purpose is people. And by Barron's Streetwise podcast, hosted by Barron's Associate Editor Jack Howe, offering insights each week on business leaders and trend spotters, available everywhere.
Now we turn to the secretive and scandalous world of offshore finance. Often located in tropical paradises, offshore financial centers offer foreign companies and uber-rich individuals a place to stash their wealth under favorable financial conditions. But these fiscal paradises tend to come with added cost to the locals, says Dartmouth economic sociology professor Brooke Harrington in her new book, Offshore Stealth Wealth and the New Colonialism. Professor Harrington details how the hidden world of offshore finance can corrode economies and democracy. My Marketplace colleague David Brancaccio spoke with Professor Harrington.
The sources for the data that's the foundation of this book, that took some digging in sometimes sticky situations?
Yes, there's a phenomenon called the finance curse, where countries, usually small island nations that turn to offshore finance to bolster their economies, tend to roll out the red carpet for some very unsavory activities. It's not just above board wealthy people and corporations using the offshore financial system. It's drug dealers and criminals and money launderers as well. And that criminality has a funny way of seeping in to the culture of the nation.
So you're describing a metaphorical pact with the devil. Oh, we can bring in all this wealth by setting up an infrastructure for people to store, i.e. hide some of their overseas wealth, but it comes with unintended consequences and distortions.
Yes, it does seem to be a Faustian bargain for at least all of the smaller countries who have tried it. The island of Jersey and the Channel Islands between France and Great Britain. Jersey and Guernsey are sort of semi-self-governing entities, and they've become very important tax havens. They could cut taxes, and yet they brought in so much money from foreigners that they could afford to have good public services and quality of life. But after a while, a really inordinate tax burden started to fall upon the locals because the foreign capital wasn't paying its fair share. And a lot of people who were born and raised on islands like Jersey and Guernsey decided that they couldn't live there anymore because the quality of life had deteriorated so much.
So, Professor Harrington, that's the new colonialism that you have in your title?
Yes, my thesis there is both that the offshore financial system that we know today is a direct outgrowth of the British Empire specifically, but also that it's recreating some of the exploitation and expropriation that was characteristic of the old colonialism, except it's not connected to any one particular country or territory. It's imperialism practiced by a group of people who don't really belong to the nation-state system anymore.
What about the argument that if countries don't want their rich people going overseas to havens, they should lower taxes?
What the offshore system actually sells is not so much tax relief as secrecy and escape from the rule of law. People from Saudi Arabia, from the United Arab Emirates are among the biggest users of the offshore financial system, and they're not subject to tax at all. Why do they use it? Well, there are lots of laws they want to evade. For example, there's some benign reasons. So if you're a billionaire in the UAE and you want your daughters to inherit equally to your sons, you have to take your fortune offshore because that's the only way to get it out of the clutches of the Sharia courts that will distribute it according to Sharia law. So people who say we need an offshore financial system give examples like that. But what that shows you in the big picture is that there's way more going on here than tax evasion. In fact, if you think that that's what offshore finance is about, you're really missing the point of it, which is to evade the law. Because lots of wealthy people don't want to pay their debts either. And offshore finance provides a way to escape debt repayment pretty much in perpetuity.
Dartmouth professor Brooke Harrington's new book is called Offshore, Stealth Wealth and the New Colonialism. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
That was David Brancaccio with that interview. Later this week, we'll learn about how shame may help incentivize the uber wealthy to pay their fair share. Catch that conversation online at marketplace.org if you miss it on the air. In Washington, I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.